While Pragmata may seem like a relatively standard third-person shooter upon first glance, there are some really cool systems that set it apart, especially when it comes to combat and the various resources you need to manage. While we won't be discussing any elements of the story, we'll be showing gameplay systems and mechanics you'll encounter in the first 3 zones of the game, so we're putting a spoiler warning here just to be on the safe side. Here's 7 things I wish I would have known before starting Pragmata. You'll find a ton of weapons out while exploring the various zones, and while you can pick up any weapon you find, you can't add them to your loadout when leaving the shelter unless you spend Lunafilament grabbing their first upgrade. Getting these weapons to level 1 allows you to print them while setting your loadout, and every subsequent upgrade adds damage or other various properties. If you already have a weapon equipped that you found in one of the zones, you can still take it with you in a loadout if it's still on your person. But if you ever replace it, you can't print it to bring it on a loadout without purchasing the level 1 upgrade. As far as your grip gun goes, your first pistol, you'll eventually find a pulse carbine that replaces it that uses the same type of rechargeable ammo. This carbine does less damage with each shot, but fires much faster and builds heat quickly when shooting enemy robots. You can switch back to the grip gun when selecting your loadout, but since they take up the same slot, it means leaving the carbine behind, and I found the carbine to be a much better weapon, at least early on. Thankfully, any upgrades you purchased for your grip gun also upgrade the carbine, so don't worry about wasting resources on your pistol before getting the carbine. Get used to hacking, because it's the strongest weapon you have. Apart from exposing enemy weaknesses, you can lower their defenses, make them attack other robots, freeze them, increase the damage of individual hacks, and even cripple them for a follow-up critical shot.
Take this!
If you put enough resources into upgrading your hacking, it can even do some massive damage by itself. I was only in the 3rd zone of the game when I received the trophy for inflicting more than 3,000 damage on a single hack. A big part of utilizing hacking effectively is not being afraid to use your nodes. Like weapons, they're dropped everywhere all over the zones, and they're upgraded in the same way. The first purchase unlocks them for printing, and after that you can continue to upgrade them. The crowd control nodes, such as Freeze and Confuse, are especially powerful when you start to get overwhelmed. I spent a long time trying to just output as much damage as possible, but I had a much easier time when I started inflicting some chaos and giving myself time to regroup. If you've been saving them, use these nodes more often. You can find them everywhere, and you're never far away from a shelter visit where you can restock. One extra tip: since nodes can combine and stack, you can hit multi-hack, which spreads the hack to other nearby enemies, and a status effect like Confuse in the same sequence, and it will spread Confuse to all of the other bots in range as well. Also keep your hacking mode in mind. Yes, that's mode with an M, not node like we just discussed. Once you can print chips to equip a particular mode for your hacking, it should change the way you treat hacks. There's what we'll call a primary hack, which opens the enemy up for a set time limit as this gauge appears on the screen, and that time limit is increased by crossing these blue open nodes. Once an enemy is opened up with a primary hack, those blue open nodes become the node for whichever mode you have installed. For instance, Offense mode increases the actual damage a hack inflicts every time you pass through these offense nodes, or when you hit an enemy with gunfire. It may be worth it to keep the hack open while laying in some bullets before completing it to increase your hack damage, but keep an eye on this gauge. If it runs out before your secondary hack is completed, you'll miss out on the bonus your current mode provides, and they'll revert to regular open nodes. Now that we've covered nodes and modes, it's time to talk about mods. As you continue to find new weapons, you'll probably gravitate to a few you really like, and there are often accompanying mods for each. Want to charge your chargeable weapons faster? There's a mod for that. Want to do more damage up close with a shockwave gun? There's a mod for that. Want to focus on hitting your enemies with critical shots, causing AoE damage to hit the other bots in the area? There's a mod for that too.
Take this!
Sooner than you might think, you can build your character around your particular playstyle, and you'll also run out of upgrade resources to buy everything unless you grind for it by revisiting areas. Try to make your weapons work together with the mods, modes, and nodes you plan to equip. Shortly after you unlock Cabin, your friendly stamp book robot, you'll also unlock various training exercises. You should do these ASAP as they get you a ton of upgrade resources including cabin coins, and may force you to use weapons you otherwise wouldn't mess with. Cabin coins can be used to fill out Cabin's stamp book. Each spot on the stamp book will earn you things like mods, info about enemies, diary snippets that fill out the story, and even alternate costumes for Hugh and Diana. Furthermore, you get a bonus drop of Luna filament every time you get a bingo on your board, as well as the rewards shown above the board. The first reward is for your first bingo, and then your third, and then whenever you black out the board, which means you fill up every stamp space. If you want to know what each question mark hides, we're rolling this out on our wiki at IGN.com. It may not be all there as soon as we publish this video, as we don't want to spoil it for people, but if this is a good deal after launch, check it out if you don't want to waste stamps.
Jump, Hugh!
Many enemies are best dodged by jumping rather than boosting to the side. Diana will often let you know which ones by telling you to jump, and these are often two-stage attacks, so it may be worth it to hover for a bit, or to jump and then dash away. Also, you can dodge while aiming and hacking, but you have to stop aiming down the sights and hacking in order to jump, since the jump button pulls double duty while hacking. Get in the rhythm of letting go before needing to jump, and then re-aim in the air to fall slowly. While your rechargeable and high damage weapons are on up and left on the D-pad respectively, you'll also find tactical weapons to the right and defensive weapons on down. As I was in a kill all robots quickly mindset when I first started playing, I neglected these for quite a while, but they're some of the most important tools in your arsenal. The tactical units, as the game calls them, that you'll use in these first three zones are the Stasis Net, Riot Blaster, and Sticky Bomb. Stasis Net will freeze enemies in place, taking them out of commission so you can either deal with them later, or hack them while frozen. Riot Blasters do a decent amount of damage, but their real benefit comes from knocking enemies down or away, especially aggressive ones like Executors, or really annoying ones like the Reassemblers. These flying drones are robot healers, and while they're attached to enemies that they're healing, those enemies are unhackable. Thankfully, hitting them with a Riot Blaster will separate the two bots so you can take out the healer. Alternatively, you can hack the Reassembler, but it's a pretty lengthy sequence with lots of nodes that will damage you if you accidentally pass through them. If you do manage to complete the hack, you'll do massive damage to both bots, and there are certain training courses that require you to do this. Still, a lot easier to just blow them up with a grenade, right?
This looks spotted!
Finally, sticky bombs don't do a ton of damage, but they take an entire row off the hacking grid, making hacks much more manageable. Seriously, these are a lifesaver when you're fighting big bots with a ton of nodes you have to get through. As far as your defensive units go, you have your decoy generator, which will distract enemies for a bit, especially useful if you can lure them into a decontaminator trap,
Overdrive protocol, on standby.
and Drone Hive, which autonomously attacks nearby bots. Both can be very useful when you begin to get overwhelmed. The various zones are pretty dense with secrets, collectibles, safe boxes, and more, and it can be tempting to spend time there until you grab everything. Thankfully, you can return to these areas at any time, so don't feel you need to explore them exhaustively. You may even need an upgrader tool that lets you enter previously inaccessible areas in order to 100% them. Also, remember after you unlock it in the unit printer, you can scan to find nearby collectibles, and that should give you a pretty good indication of whether or not it's in an area you can currently reach. We sure hope you found this guide useful, and while you're here, make sure to check out our review. For everything else Pragmata, keep it right here on IGN.